Hello, my name's John Mack and welcome to this presentation entitled Which Utility Company Will Save You Money? So how do you go about choosing a utility company that's going to save you money? There are many misleading adverts and promotions around right now that encourage you to switch suppliers to save money. However, if you're not careful, you may well end up paying more than you were previously. So let's first off take phone and broadband. Let's look at that one first. As I said, there are many misleading promotions around at the moment, including many headline deals that are just there to draw you in. But once you switch your suppliers and take on these headline deals, you may find that you're actually paying more money than you were before. What you've got to do is you've got to check the small print. Next thing you must do is calculate what it's going to cost you over any length of contract. This is the only way that you can compare like with like. You must work out what it's actually going to cost you for the full length of your contract, or at least for a minimum of 12 months if you haven't got a contract. Many suppliers will also offer you free calls when we're talking about phone and broadband. Are these calls really free? Is there actually a monthly payment that you must make in order to get these free calls, which in effect means they're not actually free? Do you actually need free calls during the day? Are you in the house during the day, so do you need them? Maybe if you excluded the free calls during the day and just took them on evenings and weekends, you could possibly save money. Next thing you must look at is what broadband speed do you need? What do you actually use the broadband for? If you're only using it for checking your emails and browsing the internet, then you don't need the fastest broadband speed. What about your download limit? Do you download movies, music, games? Do your kids play games online, requiring a lot of bandwidth and a lot of data? If you're not using a lot of downloads all the time, then you can possibly go for a provider's light deal, which will have a limit on how much you can actually download data-wise, and that will save you some money. What you've got to do basically is define what you actually need and then do a search for a supplier and see if they have a deal that fits in with these needs. Okay, let's now move on to mobiles. Same again goes for mobiles as with phone and broadband. There are lots of tempting deals out there at the moment that will draw you in either on the internet or in the shops. They're totally there just to get you to sign up to a deal, but you've got to be careful because you may end up paying more than you wanted to. Do you really need the latest high-tech phone with all the gadgets and applications? Do you really need unlimited minutes and texts? How much data do you actually need? What type of phone do you need? Do you need one with a really good camera, a good music player? These are all things that you should be deciding before you actually go and search out a deal. For instance, do you use your phone for browsing the internet? Do you browse Facebook, Twitter, etc.? If you're not using your phone regularly to surf the internet and interactions on the internet, then why pay for a data bundle? You could simply just use it as a phone. The next thing to consider is whether you want a contract phone or a SIM only. Most deals these days include a free phone. It's not actually free, you're paying for it within the monthly contract. But do you really want to be tied into a 12 or 18 or 24 month contract? Would you be better off with a SIM only deal? What you've got to do is calculate the actual cost over the total length of the contract, including any upfront fees for the phone. Then compare this with actually buying the phone outright and taking a SIM only deal. You may find that you could save a substantial amount of money by purchasing the phone outright on sites such as eBay or other such sites, and then taking a SIM only contract. So you definitely need to look at what your requirements are first, and then go out and look for the deal. Don't be tempted by some headline deal or fancy phone or whatever first and end up signing up for something that you don't need. Okay, let's move on to gas and electricity now. As with phone and broadband and mobiles, there are a lot of deals and tariffs out there at the moment. In fact, the amount of tariffs is just completely mind-boggling. You could really get lost and totally confused when you're looking at switching your gas and electricity. There are, however, some basic rules to follow which will help you decide on the best deal. What you must have first and foremost is your annual usage figures. Now, the government are trying to make the big utility suppliers make their bills easier to understand, and as from last April, it was law actually that your bills include annual usage figures. So you should be able to get these from your bills, and this is your starting point, because if you have your actual usage figures, it's then easier to compare what you would pay if you switch to another company. If you're going to use comparison sites, you need to use at least 2 comparison sites. I'll come to that why in a minute. It's normally best if you're taking dual fuel, so gas and electricity as a package. You'll normally get a discount for doing this. Now, as I said, if you're going to use comparison sites, this does come with a caveat. Basically, comparison sites act as affiliates for the gas and electric companies, and they only get paid money if you switch your service provider. So they're only going to recommend you switch to one of their preferred suppliers that is going to pay them. So that is why I say make sure you use 2 comparison sites to make sure that they're directing you to the cheapest supplier. Following on from this, you may find that you get a better deal by going to a supplier that's not featured on the comparison sites. These will be independent and they don't pay fees to comparison sites, so they can often provide you with a better deal. Okay, let's move on to customer service. It's all well and good finding the cheapest deal that you can get, but what happens if something goes wrong? What about if you have to contact the customer service department? This is where you'll find that the cheapest is not always best. Good customer service is invaluable. Do you really want to spend 1 hour on hold waiting to talk to somebody? Do you really want to find then that you get put through to a call center in India or Pakistan where you might have language problems? Do you really want to go with a supplier who offers better deals for new customers, whereas you as a loyal customer don't get offered these deals? These are all things you should consider when comparing different companies. Like I said, it's all well and good taking the cheapest deal, but are you going to be treated properly? Best advice I can give on this is use recommended suppliers. Do a search on the internet. Find out if people have had problems with a particular supplier. Find out how these people actually deal with complaints and problems. My first port of call would be consumer magazines. Independent people who look at suppliers of all sorts of goods and services and will give awards to the best suppliers. The most well known of these in the UK is the Which magazine. So I suggest that you would make that your first port of call when you're looking to change any suppliers, that be it for gas, electric, phone, broadband or mobiles. So I hope we've given you some pointers there to help you find which utility company is the best for you. If you'd like any more information, then please feel free to visit my website www.whichutility.net. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.